I'm Robert Cardoza, and you're watching On the Street, the intersection of business and politics. We're in a segment we call the good news and the bad news. Now, I've asked my good friend Jim Conaway to stay here with me while we discuss this a little bit, and we're going to talk about sequestration again, and that's really all about the deficit, the national debt, and the budgets that are being proposed. Obviously, we have one from the Democratic side, we have one from the Republican side, and we have a progressive side that's going on. So we're going to talk about those things. You know, right now, we're running about $1.1 trillion a year as a deficit. That's how much more we're spending than we're bringing in. Our national debt is about $16.3 trillion right now. And so that's a serious thing. But you know, it's not as catastrophic as everyone would have you believe, the Democrats or the Republicans. It is serious, and it's something that we have to take care of down the road. But there's things that we should be doing right now with regard to planning, which is why I've asked my good friend Jim Conaway to stay here. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on in sequestration. So let me just load this up front, Jim. Right now, Congress, in its wisdom, the people that have a 22% approval rating in the United States, has decided to kick this sequestration can down the road to September. That seems to be all they know how to do, is to kick the can forward. And I'm blaming everybody. I'm blaming the Democrats and the Republicans and the independents and the purple people eaters, all those people, okay? Because there are things, in my opinion, that we could do right now that make a lot of sense. So you're a financial planner. I want to bounce some of this by you a little bit for the logic in it. No, just the logic in it. I want to forget about your predisposed opinions, and I want you to just listen to what I have to say. How's that sound?
Okay, fine.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're going to comment.
Oh, good.
You don't get to sit there like a puppet, right? Now, so we've got $1.1 trillion in annual deficit, meaning we're spending more than we're getting. One of the things we have with sequestration is that Congress has to reduce our spending this year by $85 billion. 7.9% of that is going to be non-uniform military, and 5.3% of that is going to be in entitlement programs. And that's not just Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. It's going to be farmer subsidies, and it's going to be research and development, and it's going to be education, is going to be all those things, right? Mm-hmm. So they have to do that. The problem with that $85 billion is it's a year's number, but the fiscal year for the United States is up September the 30th. So they got to do this by September 30th. Of course, they just kicked that can down the road, making it worse.
Right.
But from October 1st to the next September 30th, we have an additional $85 billion we got to add to this thing, creating another problem. So you can see how this becomes a catastrophic type of an event, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bob, we deal with this on a personal level with personal finance.
Yeah.
What we're dealing with is a teenage girl with a credit card.
Yeah.
Okay? We've got to cut spending somehow. We have to look for ways to increase income.
So what if I said this to you? The war in Afghanistan, they're gonna start bringing our troops home in 2014. 2014 for the United States starts October the 1st of this year, right?
Right.
We're spending $1.1 trillion on the war in Afghanistan. Magically happens to be our annual deficit, which is the credit card we were using to have that war. So it seems to me that there's going to be some savings that nobody's talking about there, right?
One would hope, except those troops are still on the payroll at home.
Yes, they are, but we don't have to have all of the equipment and all of the costs and all of the training involved for Afghanistan.
And an 18-year-old in charge of some expensive
let's just say that it costs us half.
Okay.
Okay? $500 billion.
I like it.
Okay? So we've reduced that deficit by $500 billion. And we're going to reduce our spending by $85 billion.
Right.
So let's just call it $600 billion.
Okay.
We're close to bringing that deficit to a balanced budget.
That's right.
Right? Now, Obama supposedly got a $600 billion increase in revenue.
Okay.
Now we're over supposedly.
Supposedly.
Because I don't know what the truth is, right? Nobody does. So that takes us over the
politicians
deficit.
do well.
Yeah. So now we're looking at the Paul Ryan budget, which is he thinks he's going to get rid of Obamacare. I don't think it's going to happen. That's not realistic, but he keeps the savings in his budget. and he's going to get rid of deductions, but he doesn't say what deductions on itemized deductions he's going to get rid of. He doesn't. He tells us he's going to do a lot of things, doesn't tell us how he's going to do it. On the other hand, the Democrats do the same damn thing. They want increased revenue with no spending reductions, which doesn't make, from an accounting standpoint, makes no sense at all. But progressively, what if we did this? What if we eliminated all itemized deductions above 2% of your adjusted gross income? For everybody. For everybody.
Okay.
Above 2% of your adjusted gross income. With the exception of charitable contributions. We leave that intact. That then, instead of the Ryan proposal, which is a balanced budget in 10 years, and the Harry Reid proposal, or the Senate's proposal, which is a balanced budget in 4 years, which I doubt is a balanced budget anyway from what I can see, this would actually balance the budget almost immediately with regard to that, not taking into account the savings from Afghanistan. Now, if we had that savings from Afghanistan, we could work on the national debt because we would be having a surplus every year. So, from a financial standpoint, where's your head with this?
Well, the one thing that I would tell any family to do is if they have low, locked-in, cheap debt, right? Keep it. Cycle it down over time. Get rid of the expensive debt, your credit card debt. So if I was talking to the government as if they were a family, I would say you've got expensive debt, get rid of it, pay it off, do everything you can to cycle it down.
And that's the borrowed money we're paying interest on.
Absolutely. The second thing that I would do is I would talk to them about targeting the resources more appropriately. They are, as near as I can tell, spending money everywhere, meaning they're not having the significant impact they could have if they focused, spent money, went to the next one, focused, spent money, went to the next issue.
Yeah.
I don't mind reducing the military budget to a certain extent, okay?
Well, we've only got just a moment here, but let me just leave you with this thought.
Yes.
The F-35 jet airplane costs $1 billion each, and we've ordered 396 of them. Could we just order 100 of them less?
Or produce them slower.
Or produce them slower. Now, I want to remind everybody we've been talking to my good friend Jim Conaway from Conaway & Conaway from Orange County. I have you thinking about these things. Coming up next are emails, my favorite part of the show. You're watching On the Street, the intersection of business and politics, where we take all of this information, throw it into a funnel, look at what comes out, and when we analyze that, start thinking about these different budgets and how they really affect you instead of just lying to you about it. Remember, this is On the Street, the intersection of business and politics. I'm Robert Cardoza.